You're buying into the rights offering being conducted right now by UniCredit. Why?
I tell you why. Because this is an institution that has a core footprint between core Europe, Germany, Italy, and they basically had an NPL problem due to the Italian recession. GDP.
Non-performing loans.
Non-performing loan. Italian GDP went from 100 to 90. It's now on its way back. And so I think there is value. We are raising capital at a 40% discount to theoretical value. It's a huge rights issue. And I think as a result, it's a great entry point to play European recovery. And I think 2017 and 18 could be a European surprise, as too many people are obsessed about political risk, and I think political risk is not as high. It reminds me of the risk of people says Donald Trump could be elected in October, November in the States, and when it did, then the markets took off. I think the same is going to happen in Europe.
Let's try to quantify your optimism. UniCredit shares are trading slightly north of 12 euros, about 12.15, 12.20. How much upside is there to that stock?
I think, you just think about it in this way. Revenue minus cost, it's the so-called EBITDA, the pre-provision profit of an institution. I think right now they are less than 3 times. So in US context, it's like when Bank of America was trading at $5 in 2009. So I think you could easily have a double up in UniCredit share price.
Over what period of time?
I think it's going to take 2 to 3 years.
Doubling in 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
So you're building a position right now of what size?
So for us, it's going to be probably one of our key positions. So we're talking about 7 to 8% position across our equity strategy. And we already,
it's big.
Yes, and we already own a lot of credit in it. They've issued a hybrid debt, so it's like a trust preferred. It's called Additional Tier 1 in Europe, yielding 9.5% just a month ago. And we took $120 million of it.
So you're effectively doubling down already. You bought credit, now you're buying the rights offering. Are you going to triple down and buy some of the NPLs that they have to blow out?
We're also the largest investor in NPL in Italy in the secured space. They did a huge transaction, like 16 billion. We're not set up for that size. Pinco was a cornerstone investor with them. We are looking more at loan by loan, asset by asset in the secure space. And I know they will have to auction lots of assets, and it will be there. We've already bought assets from them.
As everyone knows, UniCredit is not the only Italian bank with an NPL problem.
Yes.
There's a huge NPL problem. It's been sized north of 350 billion euros. The finance minister, Piercarlo Padoan, says the non-performing loan issue at the Italian banks will, quote unquote, cure itself. What is he talking about?
Now, I think let's go through the numbers. The actual NPL is about 200 billion. Then you have 160 is what they define watch list, unlikely to pay.
That's how we get north of 350.
Exactly, 350. But in reality, of the remaining 150, less than 60 will actually become NPL. So the actual NPL stock today is 200, will be within 2 years 260. Against this, you have a cash coverage provision of about 140. So you have a net of 120. The 120 has collateral value for 150, 160. So there is collateral value vis-a-vis the actual net. So there are 2 questions here. First, is there a big macro problem? The answer is no, because you have 160 of collateral vis-a-vis 120 of net. Now, you had concentration issue. So you had a couple of institutions, Monte dei Paschi, Veneto, Vicenza, UniCredit, which had way too much non-performing loans. And they had to raise equity. Some could, some couldn't. And so I think overall now we're at the phase where given 20 billion capital raise from UniCredit, 7 billion asset sale, 13 billion capital raise, 20 billion public bank
in the rescue fund.
In the rescue fund. Add 4 or 5 billion of Atlante, you basically have 45 billion of equity out of 120 equity and NPL. So I think the issue
is not a big leverage ratio.
So right now I think we're okay. So it's not an emergency. Now, what does it mean though? Now it's the hard time. You actually need to execute and start shrinking this NPL, which is what the ECB has asked all these institutions to do. So you're going to see banks selling portfolio, which is one of the reasons why we are actually raising our NPL fund 2 of up to €1 billion. We deployed 500 million over the last 2 years, and I think risk reward there continue to be exceptional.